Hello and welcome to the second video for my Sport Essentials Collection update. This is of course for the 2-ball spot. If you like the jerseys we're wearing, Rosdahl 10 gets you 10% off your order at CoolWick at checkout. The code is in the description if you just want to copy and paste, plus a link to buy any of your bowling needs at Bowler's Mart. Using that link associates your purchases with me, and that support helps a lot. Let's get into it and talk about the Storm Nova on the house shot. The Nova has a very similar shape and overall look on the lane to the Gem, but it's a solid step down in terms of traction. I also find the Nova to be pretty similar to the Insight, which was unfortunately overlooked and then discontinued just as people were figuring out how good it was. The Nova is all about balance and versatility. It's not super long and flippy, it's not too early and smooth, it's just right in the middle. It's a good balance of shape and traction. It's in a very throwable zone for a lot of people. It's going to be in play in a lot of situations. Now, if I was still just doing pure essentials or stuff that I thought you really needed to have for tougher patterns, the Nova would be on that list. It has a rounder climbing motion, and when it goes to move on friction, it doesn't jump or bounce. It slows down a bit and really stabilizes and rolls through the pocket. This is a ball you can do a lot of things with. You can play straight and jam it, or play a tighter line, or you can open up your angles and cover a lot of boards. It'll let you do virtually anything you want to do or anything you're asked by the lanes to do. When people say control the lane front to back or side to side, what they're talking about is that if you get it a little right or left, it's in that zone where it'll get back if you get it a little wide, or hold if you get it in a little. Controlling the lane front to back means that if you get a little fast or throw a little too hard, it'll still pull up and get there more often, or if you get a little slow, it'll hold on more often. Some balls like the Reality you definitely can't get slow with, and if you miss out, while balls like the Zen Master you just can't get fast with or give too much room. The Nova gives you a lot to work with. It's definitely big on pocket presence, meaning that when they're tough and hitting the pocket is at a premium, this is one of those balls I would put on that list. And it's not just controllable to be controllable like an IQ Tour or something. I'd consider this a scoreable control ball akin to like the original Idol or Phase 2. Nova, I think, is solid 2-ball territory. It could be a 1-ball, I suppose, but it's a definite step down from the balls that we talked about in the 1-ball spot or the 1-ball video. R2X isn't that strong of a cover stock, so I think that keeps it from being a big gun, but the ignition core is really strong, so again, lots of balance, almost a Code Black or Codex kind of feel. Big core, medium cover, nice combination. Next, let's talk about the RSTX2 on the house shot. It's been one of my personal favorites since it came out because it, like the UC2, is in astrophysics territory. A clean and firm but controllable and versatile ball. I think that's where Storm has really succeeded the most. They've made plenty of great solid stuff too, of course, but historically their shiny medium strength covers have been what really sets them apart. They managed to create the clean skid flip motion that people are after while not being as sensitive as you'd expect that type of a ball motion to be. Even the really flippy ones are still pretty round and controllable, which is kind of a unique thing to see and describe. It makes my job easier though, hashtag staffer guy, speaking in contradictions. Sounds like stuff a staffer would say, but anyone that's thrown a shiny Storm Roto or now Global Ball will say the same thing. The X2 feels a lot like an asymmetric high road Pearl. It gets really easy length, almost extra easy length over something like a UC2 that's lower RG, so that revs up pretty strong. The X2 gets almost concerning length, like you want to start spinning your finger to help it wind up before it really gets going, and has a hard arc type of shape. The thing I like about the X2 is that you can close your angles down with it while still getting the ball motion of something like the UC2. The X2 is your prototypical 2-ball, shiny medium strength ASIM that's a solid step down from a bigger sanded solid ASIM once transition sets in. The UFO Alert on the house shot is unfortunately another one of the lightly restricted balls. I was looking forward to taking that to Nationals this year, but I'll be alright. I can and will still use it everywhere else. The Alert was on its way to Phase 2 status because, like the Phase 2, it followed a promising but marginally successful ball and had very little buzz or interest at first until people gradually figured out just how good it was. Many of the pros ranked it among their favorites and still continue to throw it. The Alert is a very rolly ball. It's like an asymmetric IQ Emerald. Even, continuous, controlled, managing the lane, much like the Nova that we talked about earlier, it doesn't have any specific outstanding characteristics, meaning that it's not especially early or late, smooth or flippy. A medium strength cover, medium strength core for an ASIM puts it in play for a lot of people on a lot of patterns in several different stages of transition. I've been able to use it on some fresh shots as well as some beaten up patterns, so it's quite versatile. It's not big on really opening up angles unless you have a higher rev rate. Then it's quite helpful because it gives you something to work with, but not too much. Obviously, it works quite well for both of us, and though it doesn't see as much use in League, it's one of the first in the bag for tournaments, especially if we don't know what we're getting ourselves into, because it has such a wide coverage and gives us something to work with, even if it's maybe not ideal. Solid 2-ball, and like I said with the Nova, if I was still just sticking only to certain balls I thought were better for tougher conditions or situations, this one would also be on that list. Next, we'll talk Zen Master. The lane level shots are house, and the rest are on the 2019 Open Championships doubles singles pattern. Most of you know my personal feelings. Really didn't match up with it myself. One of my bottom 5 all time, actually. But since I did the review, I've seen it become a two-hander god ball. It takes the Zen idea and pushes it over 9,000. It's stronger, definitely earlier and smoother than the Zen. Most two-handers just don't have higher revs. They also develop higher speed because they have to be able to throw reactive balls. The Zen Master is almost like high-powered urethane. It gives you a ton of dig, but a ton of control too, plus the reactive shape and hit that urethane just doesn't have. As a matter of fact, after I finished filming my Sport Gauntlet comparison where I said I gave mine away, I did literally give it away to a buddy who happened to be there. He decided to give it to his son, who is a two-hander, and his son proceeded to shoot 790 in his next high school meet. Shout out to Mason Alvarado. I then started seeing a lot of two-handers doing really well with it, and it's been one of my top recommendations now to two-handers looking for something strong. It allows them to both hit it and throw it hard because it digs in early and then just continues walking up. They can throw it on volume because of the strength, also helps control angles, which is vital on longer and heavier patterns, plus they can throw it on short and medium volume patterns just because of how controllable it is. Now, if you're higher rev period, I think you can just throw my opinion out the window on this one. If you're lower rev, it's great at helping you control angles, but it may not give you the necessary shape to be the best choice. However, I've heard from a lot of lower rev people that find themselves stuck because they know they need a urethane type look, but urethane just doesn't fit or work for them. I think the Zen Master might be a great choice to bridge that gap, especially on sport patterns. The ZM is a solid 2-ball for me. I think even big rev rates need more total ball reaction period at the top of their bag, something like the Reality, but it's also strong enough to keep it out of the 3-ball spot. Now I could see someone going like Reality for the 1-ball, then X2 or UC2 in the 2 spot, but the ZM is actually stronger than, or at least as strong as those two, despite being symmetric while those are ASIMs. So even if you have Reality, UC2, Zen Master all together in the same bag, the ZM is 2-ball strong, period. Idle Helios is next on the list, and the buzz has been big, first on house, then on the Nationals pattern. 2 900 series already to its credit. I mean, sure, Cody Schmidt and Steven Casella are okay bowlers, but we all know that the ball does most of the work. That's why the pros are the pros, because they get all the free balls and have all the ball reps, right? Now, thinking that is about as intelligent as dating Amber Heard, but I digress. The easy way to describe the Helios is that it's longer and sharper than the original Idol while retaining the control and adding some extra versatility. I think it's easier to get deeper on the lane with the Helios. The other Idols tend to hit a cliff at about 4th arrow, and the Helios doesn't really resist angle as much as the other Idols. The Idol line has been super successful in large part because of how well they cover the outside of 4th arrow zone, though. It's really like a higher powered line of IQ Tours, or an evolution of them. Stronger but similar rolling core. I've had a lot of success with the whole line thus far, a lot of people have, and that seems to have been elevated even further with the Helios. Very round shaping ball, not as strong as you'd expect though. On paper it's stronger than the Idol, but everyone seems to universally agree that the original feels like it has more dig, or that it's at least earlier and slower. I think this keeps it solidly in 2-ball territory. It's on par with, but offers a different look and shape from the Zen Master in Phase 2. So all these three definitely have hook potential overlap. They're 3 different shapes, have 3 different use cases, and each naturally prefer different zones. No need to have all 3, but I wouldn't worry about having 2 of the 3. Might sound odd for it to contend for the same spot in the bag as an RSTX2. These are wildly different balls, but remember it's about how everything fits together. If you've got an altered Reality as your 1 ball, you would likely want a complement like the Helios. However, if you had the Reality in the top spot, putting the Helios beneath it would be a little redundant. This completes the update for the 2-ball spot. I have my Sport Essentials playlist linked in the description below that contains stuff I've already covered but that's still in production, such as the Rubicon UC2. Remember my code Rosdahl10 for 10% off at CoolWick, and my Bowler's Mart link in the description to go get some of this stuff ordered. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.